What's up, everyone? Welcome to the first ever episode of Ride Along. Ride Along is a car review show, but I've shot it in 360 video, so it is VR ready, and at any time during the video you can feel free to look around, you can look behind you at the stores, you can look up at the sky, but I would hope that during the video you focus on the car, since that's what we're going to be talking about. In each episode I'll be reviewing a different car. I'll try to show you as much as I can of the exterior, the interior. I'll tell you what the car has to offer. I'll tell you how much it costs. I'll try and give you as much information as possible so that you know what the car has to offer, what I think about it after spending some time and driving with it, and hopefully this video is useful to you. Today's car is a 2019 Nissan Rogue. This particular model is the SV all-wheel drive, and I gotta say, I like the exterior. I think it looks pretty good. I've had the day to spend with the car, and so I will give you some more thoughts on it. But how about we start with an exterior walk around with the car. I'll show you some of the initial features and what you can expect to find. All right, so let's take a look around the exterior of the car. We'll do a quick walk around and see what you think of the styling. I personally quite like the styling, especially the front end here. I think it looks pretty nice. Lines are cool. You do notice it when you're driving down the road. Now this is a crossover SUV, so you're going to have a little bit more room than you would in a sedan. Obviously not as much as you would in a full-size SUV, but that's why these cars are becoming so popular among a lot of buyers. You get the space, you don't have to spend as much as you would in an SUV, and then you get the added benefit of better gas mileage, but you know, the option to go on an adventure and pack away some luggage. So I think it's a pretty good looking car. There's plenty of features inside as well as there are outside. So let's look at a few of the other things that this car has to offer, at least from the outside looking in. Now let's talk about the cargo space here in the Rogue. One of the most important things with any crossover SUV is, of course, the cargo space. If you want to go on an adventure, you need to be aware or be sure that you can load in everything that you need. So it seems to me that there is enough cargo space back here for really anything you need to do. You're not going to be able to load in your family of 5 or 6 if you have that many. But there is enough that if you need to make a trip to IKEA or you need to help a friend move, you can load enough in here. Now, the Rogue does offer a modular, I guess we could call it that, a modular shelf system here in the back, where if you want to be able to stack up things in a very creative way, then they provide the option. For example, let's say you want a little shelf in order to stack whatever you want up top. You've got that option. Let's say you want to be able to put up a divided wall for whatever reason. I guess you could do that too. There are all sorts of little options you have here in order to customize your cargo space. As you can see, this is not the easiest. It's easy, I'm just clumsy. But you have other options as well. You can make a shelf, you can create a box with this, close it off. I don't know what you would put in there. I guess if you have something you specifically need to put in there, you have that option. I guess it's a cool thing to do. Personally, I can't find myself using this shelf system too much. And with me being as clumsy as I am here, I'm really not selling this. I guess that's not my job. My job is to tell you what I think about it. This is really all you would need for cargo space. Flat space that you can put your luggage into and be happy with. If you need shelving units, then I guess that option's there for you, and you can consider that in deciding if you want this car or not. Now, let me actually put you inside here so that you can see exactly what it's going to look like in the interior. Now, I'll show you here as well how it looks when you bring the seats down. That'll obviously give you a lot more cargo space to work with. I guess if you're moving, you have a large shelving unit or something you need to put in, then you've got that option. You're obviously not going to be able to fit an entire sofa in here, but I mean, how often are we moving sofas, really? So hopefully this gives you a decent idea of the cargo space provided in the car. That should be one of the largest things people are looking for inside of a crossover. So plenty of room for your toys, small to medium-sized furniture, anything you could really want. Now, what about legroom for your passengers? As you can see, I am a 6-foot tall person. I guess my legs are average length, I would suppose. But this is with the driver's seat all the way back. You can see that I'm not uncomfortable. My knees are rubbing on the back of the seat here, but I could go with a little bit more room. I guess it's comfortable enough. These seats here, though, are able to be readjusted to a more lounging position. So it's really not that bad. It's quite comfortable. I think your passengers would be happy with it. I'm kind of curious how far back this can go. Looks like that is the limit, which is not bad. You can take a good nap here. I never really considered that, but I figure that'd be, I don't know, kind of an important aspect of a car. You have a long road trip, it's gotta be nappable. It's important. All right, so let's look at the driver's seat here. This is everything you're gonna be seeing as the driver. Nothing too surprising, nothing that's really gonna shoot out at you. It is sleek, the interior is nice enough looking as it is. The materials here, steering wheel's made of your typical pleathery plastic material that you find in most every other car. No surprises there. The displays are bright and clear. You're not gonna be confused as to what kind of information you're seeing on the screen. And then down here, you've got a couple options on how you want your car to drive. Right here, you've got the eco button. Eco button's obviously going to save you on fuel. It will restrict you, however, in your ability to accelerate. It will prevent the car from hitting too high of RPMs. So, I mean, it saves fuel. It takes away all of your giddy up. Well, at least the giddy up that this car has, which is not a lot. Sport mode, I guess about as sporty as this car can get. It'll let you accelerate a little bit quicker, but I mean, you're not gonna be breaking any records. You're not gonna be winning any races. And then you've got your all-wheel drive lock there. That's just gonna help you get a little bit more handling if, I guess, you're gonna be driving on sand or slightly unlevel asphalt. But without further ado, let's do the ride-along. Let's see how this car is in action, shall we? All right, so now for the ride-along portion. Here's my main complaint with this car here. We're at 30, 40, 50, 55 miles per hour. That took a minute. It does not have a lot of giddy up. Every time I drive the car, it looks nice on the inside, but once you need to go, it just doesn't quite do it. I guess if you don't need the car to take off, or you don't need to merge into traffic that quickly, then it's a well enough car. Now, granted, I'm not using sport mode, so I guess, you know, it's not gonna be very good on the drag strip, but I don't know, I guess with my cars, I just want them to go a little bit more, especially not really to win any races, but just rather to get into traffic. And this car, it just feels a little sluggish. If that's not an issue for you, then, you know, otherwise it's a pretty good car. The ride itself is pretty smooth. The suspension is nice. It's a little spongy, which makes for a comfortable experience, but when you're going around corners, it tends to wish and wash left and right. Now, there are a few features in this car that you can take advantage of that do come standard in every model of the Rogue. One such feature is blind spot awareness, which is indicated by a little light right here. It's a little yellow light, and when you have someone in your blind spot, it'll light up, letting you know that you shouldn't merge, otherwise you're gonna run someone off the road. Other features of the car that you might notice, you'll notice that it's not a bad looking interior. If you look at the dashboard here, it may look like that is stitched leather, but in fact, that is plastic. I guess though, if you're buying your car based on the dashboard, then it's just a really weird thing to buy your car for. That's all I'm trying to say. But other than that, it seems a little cheap, but you're not paying for a luxury car here. With each of the models, you're gonna start at around $25,000 at the base model, and then you work your way up to about $33,000, $34,000, and that's the MSRP. There's other deals that you can find, I'm sure, of used Nissan Rogues that will get you a pretty good deal, and you can likely find them for low mileage. I have noticed though that while I'm driving, I showed you earlier the buttons down here for eco mode, sport mode. They're just a little awkward to reach if you're operating the vehicle, and let's say you want to switch over to eco mode. You got to reach down, you hope you're going to hit the button, but it's just a little hard to navigate, especially right down there. Another thing, this is going to be nitpicky on my part, but something that I did notice as I was driving is I wanted to turn up my music. Every time I kept reaching right here. You'll notice that is your climate control, not the volume. Volume's a little bit higher. Again, like I said, that's nitpicky. That is something you can get used to as you drive the car. So there's nothing to worry about there, I guess, unless you're consistently doing that and you want to stop turning up your AC and instead turn up the volume. All right, so what's my final verdict on this then? Why would you pick the Nissan Rogue over any of the other crossovers that are available? Well, let's talk about the pros and cons of the car and then kind of how it compares to the rest of the other cars. So let's cover the pros first. A nice pro of the car is it's a very comfortable ride. Going through dips, going over speed bumps, it's pretty good. Which also brings me to a con of the car, is that with the suspension being as kind of wishy-washy as it is, it makes handling around corners seem a little unsecure, if you will. Now, that being said, with the steering, it's a very responsive steering. It's pretty good. You're not going to get a lot of give inside of the steering wheel itself. When you turn, it turns. And so it makes it quite effortless when you're trying to go around a corner. Another pro, the styling of the car. The exterior looks nice. The interior is clean. It's comfortable. You've got all sorts of good features. You've got heated seats, at least in the front seats. Back seats, you don't. Well, I guess that's a slight con for your passengers, but you're going to be a comfortable driver. This right here is a con. There is no get up. It just leaves me wanting more. I want it to go, and it doesn't. So that's, to me, that's kind of a negative. I need it to go, and it doesn't. And then the final pro that we'll cover is it's an affordable car. I mean, if you're buying it new, you'll be going anywhere from $25,000 to about $33,000, $34,000 MSRP, which means by this point, you could find a pretty good deal, likely on a used one. But if you're buying new, again, it's affordable and it's going to be quite nice on gas. Now, with the fuel efficiency, it is rated at 33 miles per gallon on the highway and about 28 in the city. Now, I've had my fuel economy up here all day, kind of watching the average, and I've gone through city, I've been on the freeway, I'm averaging about 26.8, so I'm on the lower end of what the EPA estimate is. But that being said, in its class, it is rated as the most fuel efficient, so if you want to be saving gas, then this will be the car for you. So my final verdict, would I buy the car? Personally, I would look elsewhere, but if all you really need is decent styling, a nice car to look at, and you don't really care if it goes 0 to 60 in about, I don't know, 10 seconds or so. Okay, that might be an exaggeration, but it does not get up to 60 very quickly. If you want to look past that and you're looking for a decent car, then yeah, I'd go for it. Personally, you know, I'd look elsewhere, but that's just me. All right, guys, that does it for the very first episode of Ride Along. I really appreciate you guys joining me for this ride. This is going to be a regular thing that I will be doing. I'm going to be reviewing more cars in the future, so be sure to subscribe so that you can get notified whenever I put any of those out. I am well aware that there's plenty of improvements to be had with the show, but I hope that it was useful for you. I hope that it allows you to be able to check out the car at a more in-depth level than you typically would with a typical car review video. And any kind of improvements or suggestions you might have, just be sure to leave those in the comments below, and I will review those as they come along. Okay, thanks guys.